generalization of British music at the moment. You could easily look at many bands in the UK and think of them as being pretty derivative, not really adding any new ideas to music. And then when you even hone it like further in, when you kind of take that magnifying glass even further and focus on just Manchester, that becomes even clearer, because so many of these bands breaking out of there particularly are often stuck in the past, very much just regurgitating Britpop ideas. But I think with Get to Heaven in 2015, and even maybe some of their earlier albums, Everything really brought this really fresh sound to the table, and it felt kind of astonishing really to hear a band go in this direction coming out of the UK. While yes, their influences were always pretty clear, they made it their own, and they made this really interesting art rock, art pop album that was incredibly catchy and had just absolute slappers from start to end. To be honest, let's be honest, it was a slapping album. So since then, I've been a pretty big fan of Everything. I've always liked random singles here and there that they've put on albums. Never really loved anything as much as that album. But this new album here, RE-ANIMATOR, hasn't really itched that same scratch that same itch. I think for me what's happened is that I'm just a little bit over what they do these days. The vocal performances, as jarring as they always were, they're actually starting to get a bit more irritating than enjoyable. And you could even argue that on their previous albums it was always the same, but this time around they're just a bit more glaringly ugly at points. And then you've got the instrumentals, which just aren't as exciting to me. I think maybe the magic's just been lost a little bit. They can't really replicate what I personally liked so much about them before. But even still, like, there are some genuinely odd moments, like on Planets, where the chorus I just find to be incredibly weird, and not sure why they picked that kind of chorus here. It just sounds so out of place. They've always been a bit wacky with the lyrics too, but then you get to tracks like Arch Enemy and it's really difficult to decipher what on earth they're even saying. Some of the really random lines that get thrown out there just feel incredibly random for the sake of it, like the grey cholesterol thing, and there's so many other things like the dinosaur reference to it. I'm just really not sure what's going on here. And again, they were kind of like that before to an extent, but it just feels like it's been taken to the extreme, I think, on this particular track. There are moments as well that are a bit prettier, I guess you could say, like the opening track, or particularly Moonlight, which might be the better example out of the two, to be fair, where the instrumental is nice enough. The vocals are a bit lighter on the ears as well, because sometimes he gets very overbearing with how, you know, in your face he is with that falsetto. But this track is a bit softer, I guess you could say. But then I'm still not really getting much out of it. My reaction is supposed to be stronger than it is, and I'm just not really left feeling that much. It's a kind of a weird moment where I feel like I should be liking this song way more than I do, and I just don't. Then on the opposite end, you've got moments that completely baffle me, like It Was Monstering, which it's eerily close to a Radiohead song. It's so close to sounding like a Radiohead song, it may as well be a Radiohead song. The way the vocals are presented, the instrumental, the way it progresses, it's so close to something that you'd hear on In Rainbows. And look, I'm not here to say rip-off, because that's a bold claim, but I'm also not going to say it's not a rip-off. We'll just leave it there. We'll leave it open, and it's you, the audience, you can decide. I'm not saying it is, I'm not saying it isn't. That's it. The track Lord of the Trapdoor was pretty alright, but it was really only once we hit the ending I was completely sold on what they were doing here. I thought this was one of the best musical moments on the entire album, and I was kind of disappointed that there weren't many more of these random, you know, let loose breakdowns that came out of this particular section, because it sounds fantastic, and it honestly sounds a lot like some of the early days in Muse, which I find to be pretty surprising. I guess their Muse influence might be relatively strong, and you know, I don't think it can be denied because of this moment here. Really, like Origin of Symmetry Days Muse. A great moment, but like probably could have done with more of this, to be honest. I will say that the album ends quite strong though. I think The Actor and the closing track are by far the best songs on the whole thing. The Actor has glorious vocal melodies. I think this is just something that we needed sooner, to be honest, and the passion that seeps out of the vocalist on the final track too. Wow, what a great closer. But everything up until that point just kind of leaves me not really that fulfilled, which is a shame because again, I do like this band a lot, but this new album here is just not really striking me in any particular way. I definitely think it's going to be a bit of a hit and miss album for a lot of people. I think you could easily come out of this thinking it's great, but you could also come out of it thinking it's pretty meh, because that's how I feel. Don't know, man, it's just one of those things, but I do like this band a lot. I expected a bit more from them. Some baffling moments throughout the album, to be fair. It's not really a very concise listen, but there are some good moments too, so what can you do? I'm going with a 5 out of 10. Hopefully you like it a lot more than I do. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching this video. Tell me what your favorite album from Everything is. Tell me if you like this a lot more than I do as well. Thank you. Have a good day. Subscribe if you haven't already, and goodbye.